Mitakai Arason. I have said this so many times, I don't know how credible I sound, but I eschew politics. Can't stand them. My focus is on spirituality. We are a system, yes, the human organism, with the physical, the mental, the emotional. All just as important. All of these, ignore them or try to minimize them at your peril. But the key is number 4 is spiritual. You got a bad spiritual life, is doom too big of a word? Too potent of a word? So I'm focused on the spiritual, right? That is the essence of my therapy, spirituality. But nowadays, people are pretending. People are trying to believe that what they're doing is spiritual, but what they're doing is political. And because of this, I am in the political arena, but I do not wish to be. I'm speaking of spiritual truths, not political truths, because there are no political truths. The social retribution movement is all about forging a new religion. Whether you are a believer or not, it's forging a new religion. And what really gets my goat is that there are so many people who already are very, very all in to their church. Mostly Christians, but there are Jews, there are Buddhists, there are Muslims, etc., that say the social retribution movement is actually what God wants to happen. It is not. Now, I've studied most of the world's major religions and even some minor religions. The one that I'm most familiar with is Christianity, and I can tell you, Christ never talked about condemning the Romans. The only thing he said about the Romans was, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. He had his criticisms for his fellow Jews, for the Sadducees and the Pharisees, and those who would talk the talk but not walk the walk. For anybody to say that this social retribution movement, with the idea that all whites are guilty and all blacks are outraged and oppressed and helpless. I mean, isn't that a key component of critical race theory, that blacks cannot get beyond how whites treat them? That they are subservient to the whims of the whites no matter what, and that the whites will exercise these whims no matter what. That's not biblical. That's not Christian. That's not Jewish. That's not Muslim. That is wrong. You know, I have neighbors. Let's call them Fred and Trifecta. I broke down once on a public street in the middle of the afternoon on our street crying because of issues that I'm facing in my family. And I had to turn around and collect myself, and they stood there while I did that. And they said, what a horrible thing, we should talk about this when he come by in 2 days. Fine. And then I had to contact them. I couldn't make it in 2 days. So they said, well, we'll be free again a week and a half from now. What? Christianity? Spirituality? God? Let's schedule your crisis on my time. And then when I saw them a little later, they had nothing to say. So I said, how are you doing? They said, fine. How about you, Mark? For some reason, I said never better, even though I wasn't feeling that. I was feeling sarcastic toward them. And they said, glad to hear that. And then left it alone. Christianity, spirituality should not be for show. Christianity, spirituality is about believing in the truth, pursuing the truth, finding the good in everybody, and making a connection. So often, Fred and Trifecta, man, they live lives of service, but they don't That I suppose that their perception of Christ motivates them to do what they do, but they don't speak about it. They don't, they're not making a noise. They're not making a joyful noise. I've seen things that they've done that I have to say enable. And this whole social retribution movement is all about enabling. You feel bad, then keep feeling bad. You feel outraged, keep feeling outraged. You feel guilty, keep feeling guilty. Don't try to elevate your spirit. Don't try to make a beautiful noise in this world. Don't spread the gospel. It's wrong. We have a spiritual malaise, a spiritual crisis in this nation. Stand up against it. Raise your voice. Proclaim the good news and be the bearer of that news. Peace! 4 fingers.